everybody, Max Scoville here, filling in for Akeem, and on today's Fix of Entertainment news, everything is getting more expensive, but that HBO Max price hike is bullshit, and I'll tell you why. In a shocking turn of events, Avatar 2 breaks yet another record, and anime fans can expect to hear a familiar voice in the English dub of Trigun Stampede. Let's get into it. Last week, Warner Bros. Discovery announced that the cost of HBO Max would be going up for US subscribers. It's not a huge increase, jumping from $14.99 a month to $15.99, and it's the first time the cost has gone up since the streamer launched way back in 2020, but it still feels like a pretty big FU to customers after how much content has been removed from the service since the merger last year. If you haven't been keeping track, Warner Bros. Sunk a whole bunch of money into original programming to help HBO Max hit the ground running and stand up to the competition, which makes sense considering that Netflix, Prime Video, and Disney Plus all had a few years head start in the streaming space. But from the sound of things, WB was writing checks that its proverbial ass couldn't cash. Following the merger, newly appointed WB Discovery CEO David Zaslav's first order of business was cutting costs, which so far has resulted in, among other things, 17% of HBO's workforce getting laid off, the cancellation of a number of shows and movies that were in development, the shelving of some finished projects, and the removal of content from both HBO Max and Discovery Plus. But apparently that wasn't enough, so now subscribers are paying more too. As of mid-December, over 80 movies, shows, and specials have been rather unceremoniously yanked off of the service. That includes original movies like The Witches and An American Pickle, as well as shows like Infinity Train and Aquaman King of Atlantis. Meanwhile, shows like Westworld and Raised by Wolves are supposedly going to be redistributed on other ad-powered streaming platforms. The reasoning behind some of these removals is that having certain titles available to stream meant that WBD was on the hook to pay residuals, but the amount of money being brought in wasn't enough to recoup the losses. Then of course there was the write-off stuff, where WB full-on canceled the release of two basically finished movies, Batgirl and Scoob Holiday Haunt. Apparently, declaring those projects a loss for tax reasons and then never releasing them to the public saved the company a few $1,000,000. I feel like maybe releasing a finished Scooby-Doo Christmas movie, either in theaters or for sale and rent on VOD, might have also made a few $1,000,000, but also made a whole bunch of children and families happy in the process. But hey, what do I know? Now here's the one that really pisses me off, Sesame Street. Over 200 old episodes have been pulled from the service, and I have a really hard time believing that Big Bird's residuals were too expensive when Sesame Workshop is a non-profit and HBO has had an exclusive distribution deal with the studio since 2016. And even if that math does all make sense and WB Discovery saved themselves a few bucks in the process, does it really make up for the terrible optics of deleting 200 episodes of a beloved children's show? I mean, you've heard the expression of taking candy from a baby. Okay, well, what if instead of candy, which is arguably unhealthy and babies shouldn't have it in the first place, and also it costs money to manufacture, it was wholesome educational programming that was filmed 40 years ago on a meager budget, even at the time? Is it really worth it? But hey, on the bright side, it's not like HBO Max isn't also getting new stuff. The Last of Us premiered last night, and it kicks ass. And then of course there's the Batman spin-off series The Penguin, Dune, The Sisterhood, and an It prequel, which will hopefully give us an idea of why Pennywise is so awful. And then of course there's True Detective Night Country, which, could be like True Detective Season 1, or it could be like True Detective Season 2, but either way, I'll tune in and find out. Now, $1 more a month isn't gonna break the bank unless you've only got $15 in the bank, and if that's the case, you probably got bigger problems than whether or not Sesame Street is available to stream, but it's still pretty annoying, and it's readily apparent that this increase is not going towards making a better product for the consumer, but making a bigger bottom line for shareholders, which is horrible and gross, and unfortunately, the way a lot of things in the world work. HBO Max has close to 100 million subscribers, so an extra $1 a month from each of them is quite a lot of loose change to shake out from between the couch cushions. Maybe, hopefully, optimistically, unrealistically, maybe we'll see them stop canceling and pulling stuff because of this, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, what do you think? Are you going to cancel HBO Max because it's $1 more a month? Are you going to wait and finish The Last of Us? Let me know in the comments. Moving on, it's not exactly news that Avatar: The Way of Water is cleaning up at the box office. It managed to surpass Top Gun: Maverick as the highest grossing movie of 2022, and it is steadily on track to break the $2 billion mark, which is a whole bunch of money. Oh, and full disclosure, we pre-recorded this episode because the IGN office is closed today for a holiday, so it's very likely that Avatar 2 has broken $2 billion by now. Congrats, you big blue cats, you did it. Anyway, this means that Avatar writer, director, producer, creator, and enthusiast James Cameron now has 3 of the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time. Avatar 1, still in first place, Titanic is in third, and as of writing this, The Way of Water is in 7th. Bear in mind that ranking could change. Avengers Endgame, which is currently in second place, briefly held the top spot before a re-release of Avatar in China bumped it back up a couple years ago. Titanic is back in theaters next month for its 20th anniversary, remastered and in 3D for the first time ever, so if that cleans up money-wise, it could very well take Endgame down another notch. The moral of the story, do not mess with James Cameron, especially at the box office, but probably also other places because I feel like that guy is freakishly good at martial arts. Don't bet against James Cameron because that dude seems to know what he's doing. Finally, Trigun Stampede started airing in Japanese on January 7th, and the reception has been solid so far, even winning over quite a few detractors of CGI anime. Any Trigun fans who are holding out for the dub will be happy to hear that Vash the Stampede will be played once again by Johnny Yong Bosch. Since Trigun premiered on Adult Swim way back in 2003, Bosch has gone on to become quite a recognizable name and voice in the world of voice acting, and has since had roles in a long list of anime series including Bleach, One Piece, and Dragon Ball Super, as well as video game series like Persona and Devil May Cry. You can catch new episodes of Trigun Stampede dropping weekly on Crunchyroll, with the English dubbed versions rolling out on January 21st. That is your entertainment fix for Monday, January 16th. What is your feeling on HBO Max's price hike? Will Titanic overtake Endgame? And most importantly, how hot do you think Vash gets under that big coat? Let me know in the comments, and for all your entertainment news, make sure you are following and or subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch. I'll see you next time that Akeem is unavailable.